us what it's like being in a Hollywood marriage for 21 years and being successful.
We don't know. I kept my separation a big secret from my family, from my mom, from everybody. Only 2 people knew.
I'm really worried because Duane and Tisha have like a real violent relationship.
And Duane's hi, honey.
Hey, y'all about to get her beat with a bag of oranges.
For more than 2 decades, Tisha Campbell and Duane Martin were hailed as one of Black Hollywood's most iconic couples. But behind the sitcom smiles and red carpet glamour, Tisha Campbell reveals she was enduring what she now calls a true horror story.
One time, this person asked me, "This house is beautiful. What more could you want?" And I said, "Happiness." I'm free. I don't live here no more. I'm free, y'all.
Her pain went far beyond her marriage. She was forced to guard secrets that Hollywood's elite had spent decades hiding, secrets that, if revealed, could link her husband to one of the biggest names in entertainment history.
I think the worst part of it was nothing ever happened no consequences ever happened to him. So I grew up thinking
Tisha
nothing
Campbell
bad happens to
and
bad
Duane
people.
Martin tied the knot in 1996. But they weren't just 2 actors saying "I do." They were setting themselves up as the couple who would redefine Black love in Hollywood, showing the world how it could be done right.
This is the type of interview we're going to conduct right now.
I'm just saying.
No, really, because this is a serious subject, so this is what we're going to do?
It is a serious subject.
Yeah, but this is what we're going to do?
No, continue.
Tisha had been in the industry since she was a child, starring in classics like Little Shop of Horrors, School Days, and house party films that made her a familiar face to anyone who grew up in the 80s and 90s. Meanwhile, Duane was building his reputation as a reliable, talented, and charming actor. But here's what most people forget. Tisha didn't enter this marriage on a high note. She walked in fresh from one of the most traumatic professional experiences a woman could face in 1996. Remember the hit show Martin? Tisha played Gina, the love interest of Martin's character, and was on the show for most of its run. But during the final season, she left and filed a lawsuit against her co-star, Martin Lawrence, alleging,
right before Tisha left the set, because she had to.
This was
It got to that point.
1996, still 21 years before the Me Too movement, and Hollywood had no idea how to handle a situation like Tisha's. That's why she was labeled difficult. Her motives, her character, even her future were questioned. Overnight, she went from beloved sitcom star to being publicly canceled. In the middle of that storm, Duane Martin offered her an escape, a chance to be seen as more than a victim. They married in a lavish ceremony, and for Tisha, the marriage felt like a lifeline. She was no longer defined by Martin Lawrence. She was building something new. But here's the harsh truth. What seems like a fresh start from the outside can be the beginning of a very different nightmare, and the trap was set from day one.
A different change in my life. Am I going to make it? I don't know. But it really is one of those things where I just got to move forward. And
Tisha's
I have
shift
the
from
means
victim
do
to
it.
wife and mother created a deep psychological reliance on her marriage as proof of her stability. She needed it to succeed, not just out of love for Duane, but to validate her survival. If the marriage failed, it would feel like the Martin Lawrence trauma had won, that she had traded one nightmare for another and still couldn't escape. This intense dependence, this desperate need for the marriage to work, likely made her endure the trauma that began just months after the wedding.
I'm supposed to slow down, figure this out, and it's not just for him, it's for me too. So it helps me in
Tisha
every.
was truly facing, we need to look at Duane Martin's real power in Hollywood. He was a key figure in the circle known as Real Husbands of Hollywood. While the show parodied reality TV, it also revealed the inner workings and influence of Black Hollywood's male elite. And at the heart of that web of power was...
I live in LA. Does that make sense to you?
No.
I live in Los Angeles. There's a lot of opportunities I don't get because the guys don't want me to see them with their boyfriends. And I've suffered from that. Do you think me saying we'll like guys, because I said it, and I can't take it back.
Yeah.
Because I believe it. I know it for the most part.
Okay.
By me saying that, I hope it doesn't strike a nerve in anybody, but I'm saying I live in LA.
Yeah.
And there's a lifestyle that is kept quiet.
By the early
secret
2000s, Will Smith was arguably the biggest movie star on the planet. His connection to Duane Martin wasn't casual. They were often photographed together at events, premieres, and even on vacations. For Tisha, being this close to Will Smith's circle came with perks, career opportunities, social clout, and access. But it also came with a heavy price: absolute silence. As the wife of Smith's best friend, she became the gatekeeper, tasked with protecting both men's images. Any questions about the true nature of Duane and Will's friendship had to be deflected, presented as nothing more than a normal buddy bond, even when it felt like something more. Rumors about their relationship had circulated since the early 2000s. In 2012, Star magazine ran an explosive report claiming Will and Jada were on the verge of divorce. An insider alleged that Will took Duane on an exotic vacation and that eyewitnesses spotted them having a romantic dinner. At the time, it was dismissed as tabloid fodder. Will and Jada were America's golden couple, and Duane was their trusted friend, but Tisha was watching closely, and more importantly, she was being asked to keep it all a secret.
The leader of our household, but I asked him if I could lead in this particular journey.
Jada finally addressed the swirling rumors about Will in an interview, and her response was telling.
I always told Will, you can do whatever you want as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror and be okay.
Wow.
Okay? Because at the end of the day, Will is his own man. I'm here as his partner, but he is his own man. He has to decide who he wants to be. And that's
On the
not
surface,
for me to do.
it may have sounded like a supportive wife praising her husband's individuality, but against the backdrop of the rumors, it felt more like someone carefully curating a false narrative. Meanwhile, Tisha was on the front lines defending that image. She was the wife tweeting things like, "Usually, I ignore negativity, but I'm tired of the media attacking the Smiths. They're an amazing couple, and I wish people would stop perpetuating lies and leave them alone." She was protecting a public image that demanded her silence, but silence can only last so long. Eventually, the truth finds a way out. In January 2019, Tisha Campbell filed for a restraining order against Duane Martin, and the affidavit she submitted completely shattered the public perception of their marriage. Sworn under penalty of perjury, Tisha revealed that these issues weren't a sudden development triggered by divorce. They had been a foundational part of the marriage from the very beginning. She described incidents from December 2018, just weeks before filing, including Duane grabbing her arm to pull her into the bedroom and pinning her against a wall by the throat until she had trouble breathing.
I felt myself hurl myself into a corner and ball up. And I think I blacked out because the next thing I remember was the pain. And
beyond the physical abuse,
back in my
the nightmare included something just as damaging: relentless psychological attacks, particularly body shaming. Tisha described being constantly criticized for her weight and appearance. This wasn't occasional teasing, it was a calculated effort to break her self-esteem, to make her feel unlovable, and to convince her she should feel lucky just to remain in the marriage. The most chilling part? Tisha revealed in her affidavit that she kept the abuse hidden to protect her family and preserve her husband's public image. She knew exactly what she was giving up by staying silent her own well-being, and Duane Martin allegedly knew precisely how to weaponize that silence against her.
Kind of knew something was up with my child, which is what I would tell all of my friends. Something's up with this kid. Yeah. And they would, proceed to tell me, no, you're just a, first-time mom. But I kind of knew there was something happening the minute I brought him home from the hospital.
In an industry where positive portrayals of black marriage were rare, exposing Duane Martin felt like a betrayal of the community. It seemed to feed into negative stereotypes. Duane allegedly exploited Tisha's loyalty, knowing her commitment to their public image outweighed her commitment to her own safety. As long as she believed that protecting him was protecting black love itself, she stayed silent. That silence opened the door to financial manipulation. It allowed him to maintain a secret relationship with Will Smith and enabled the elaborate scheme that would eventually bring the entire house of cards crashing down. When you trap someone in a relationship, you can control everything: their finances, their connections, even their perception of reality. Tisha Campbell would come to discover exactly how far that control reached when she tried to leave. But we're not there yet. First, we need to unravel the financial web Duane Martin built and how it connects all the way to Will Smith. That's when this story transforms into a full-blown Hollywood scandal.
Tisha Campbell Martin and Duane Martin, they filed for bankruptcy not too long ago. They cited about $15 million worth of debt.
Tisha Campbell and Duane Martin filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, declaring $15 million in debt. But the trustee, the federal official tasked with recovering assets for creditors, soon noticed something off. Their lifestyle didn't match their bankruptcy claims. They were living large, driving luxury cars, and maintaining an image of success, while insisting they were completely broke. The centerpiece of their bankruptcy was a sprawling 9,000 square feet mansion in Chatsworth, California, purchased in 2006 when the market was booming. But after the crash, the home's value fell below the mortgage owed. Duane negotiated a short sale with the bank, which agreed to sell the home to a third party for less than the debt. Here's where it gets shocking. The buyer wasn't an independent investor. It was a shell company called Rock LLC, allegedly controlled by Duane himself. By using Rock LLC, Duane effectively bought back his own house at a steep discount, wiped out the mortgage debt, and secretly retained ownership. To keep up appearances, he even signed a lease with Rock LLC, paying himself $5,000 a month in rent, then listed the home for $2.6 million. His plan was to sell it, pay off the nominal debt to Rock LLC, and pocket $1.3 million tax-free and hidden from bankruptcy creditors. But here's the million-dollar question. Where did the cash come from? A bankrupt Duane Martin couldn't have funded this on his own. During the divorce proceedings, Tisha uncovered the truth about who was actually financing the scheme. When she confronted Duane, he refused to come clean, expecting her to keep protecting him by staying silent. That was the turning point. Tisha went to the trustee, becoming the whistleblower against her own husband, handing over the evidence that would expose the entire scheme and ultimately lead investigators straight to Will Smith.
I can't go into much detail about the past because there was a confidentiality agreement, but I was actually kind of shocked. There were people in my ear saying, be quiet, don't say anything, and then there were other people who were like, you need to cut back. But I took a day and I said, I'm gonna just hit him up. And so I was like, hey, and he was like, T. I said, yo, are we good? Right. And he was like, yeah, T, don't read into what it is. You know, there's a lot of people that's trying to bring up the past and trying to make it news today, but you know, T, we're good.
Court documents revealed that in 2012, Will and Jada Pinkett Smith loaned $1.4 million to Duane Martin. The trustee subpoenaed Will Smith's financial records and personal emails to trace the transaction, uncovering emails that allegedly showed Duane pressuring Will to fund the deal. This points to one of two possibilities. Either Duane felt entitled to Will's resources, or Will felt obligated to support Duane's lifestyle. Either way, it exposed an unusually deep financial entanglement between the two married men.
Everything with success, with failure, relationships, if you put in certain kinds of things and certain kinds of mechanisms, then you can get
To put this into
successful
context,
result.
Duane Martin first met Will Smith on the set of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in 1993, sparking a friendship that would last decades. They were frequently photographed together, vacationing side by side and cultivating an image of Hollywood brotherhood. Guests at Duane's 35th birthday even revealed that Will gifted him a Bentley, fueling conversations about the depth of their friendship. But in 2011, rumors intensified. Will and Duane took a trip to Trinidad without their wives, with reports suggesting they might have been keeping things on the down low.
You scared that she gonna tell all those freakers about you and Wayne, huh? Duane Martin. That's what you're scared of. Go ahead and let it come out, Will. Just tell her, yeah, that's why Tisha left on Wayne. Come on, Will. Let's put it out there, bro. Everybody know. Anybody from LA know you and Duane are an idol. Stop letting her extort you for that little secret. You may not know or think people know.
If all of this is
know,
true,
though.
the $1.4 million loan takes on an entirely different significance. It wasn't just a simple favor, it was a financial lifeline meant to sustain Duane Martin's lifestyle, the one his connection with Will Smith demanded. If Duane went broke or lost his home, he would lose access to the elite circles where he and Will socialized, the very things that made their friendship possible. This wasn't a gift, it was a calculated way to keep Duane comfortable and his status intact.
The whole Duane Martin rumor is just too convenient for me, right? It'd be different if you were a best friend and if Will Smith was indeed gay, he's hunched more
While the
people than
bankruptcy
Duane
documents
Martin.
laid out the financial skeleton of the scandal, the full story, the flesh on the bones, emerged years later thanks to a former personal assistant and close friend of Will Smith.
Right? So, all right, I open the door to Duane's dressing room, and that's when I see Duane and having anal Will.
Let me process that for a second.
There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Duane was standing up, killing him. Like,
in an interview
it was
with Tash
murder.
K. Ball, Will Smith's brother, claimed he once walked in on Will Smith and Duane Martin in an intimate encounter on a couch. He described Duane as the more dominant partner and shared details that left little doubt about what he alleged to have seen.
Duane Martin was allegedly beating Will Smith in from the body.
They said Duane was doing the bending.
Oh,
no.
Bell's story
Will
is
bending
crucial
Will.
to understanding what Tisha Campbell endured. It offers a possible explanation for the nightmare she lived through. If her husband was truly involved in an intense, passionate, arguably romantic relationship with one of the world's most famous men, the psychological toll would have been enormous. It sheds light on much of what she described, and it also explains the 20 years of silence. Because if Tisha had ever spoken out, it wouldn't just have ended her marriage, it could have exposed Will Smith in a way few could have imagined.
Don't really understand how we went through the bankruptcy, honestly, but that I was kind of separated from it, so I don't really know how we got through it. But it really is just taking yourself outside of it and
Here's something
keep it
that
moving
speaks
forward.
louder than any statement Tisha could make. In 2012, when the Star magazine rumor surfaced, Tisha aggressively defended the Smiths. But when her brother Bellal's allegations came out in 2023, she didn't rush to shield her ex-husband or Will Smith from the claims. Her actions suggested she found Bellal's statements credible, or at the very least, she was no longer willing to risk herself to deny them. After decades as the gatekeeper, the defender, the protector of images that weren't hers to protect, Tisha Campbell finally chose silence over lies. And we're not done yet, there's more to this story, especially when you revisit Lisa Ray's old interview.
Duane Martin, who's married to Tisha Campbell, who's
About to
good
be
friends
divorced.
with...
From Tisha. Her soon-to-be ex.
I heard about that. I didn't know what to believe.
Unfortunate, they've been married for so long, and...
He's still good friends with Will Smith, though, correct?
I don't know that either. I just know
Lisa
he's not my
married
friend
Michael,
anymore.
the Prime Minister of Turks and Caicos, and later introduced her husband to her friend and co-star, Duane Martin. Looking back, however, Lisa Ray has admitted that this was one of the biggest mistakes she ever made.
So, you know, when you introduce your friend to your husband, I did that for business, for association, for relationship. And when it went sour and I had a sidebar with Duane and said, hey, you know, what are you doing and why are you doing it? And I don't...
He became better friends with your husband than you were.
He started, you know, being in places that he shouldn't have been.
Where?
My friend. Just along with the shenanigans.
In your living room when you come home from work and you're like, Duane, what are you doing here? I didn't call you. Michael, why are you entertaining him?
I made it very clear that we were not friends anymore and that he was not welcome in my home.
Lisa Ray revealed that Duane Martin played a central role in the collapse of her marriage. What she described echoed Tisha Campbell's experiences. Duane, someone she had trusted like a brother, began introducing her husband to other women. This wasn't just infidelity, it was orchestrated, almost like matchmaking, creating a network of affairs. And this wasn't the only time Duane faced such allegations. He was also accused of facilitating Michael's affairs with Nicole Murphy, Eddie Murphy's ex-wife.
With Nicole Murphy?
Was who with
Think
Nicole
about
Murphy?
what this really
Michael?
means. That role demanded two things: trust and silence. Everyone involved in these arrangements relied on Duane Martin to stay quiet, and he relied on them to do the same. It was an entire ecosystem built on what could never be spoken aloud. And here's where it circles back to Tisha Campbell. If Duane was orchestrating this for others, what do you think he was doing in his own marriage? What arrangements was he managing behind closed doors? What secrets was he keeping hidden?
Rumors about Duane than Will.
Oh, you heard rumors about Duane. People like to say whatever happens behind closed doors is nobody's business, but when you're a public figure, it is everyone's business.
No, because if you kept it behind closed doors, nobody would know. Therefore, it wouldn't be nobody's business. They bring shit from out the bedroom. That's how we know any goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know what I do in the bed. I
Tisha
don't care what my
Campbell and Duane
OnlyFans.
Martin's divorce was finalized in 2020, but the fallout is still being felt. The financial abuse, hidden assets, and shell companies left her with just $21 to her name and countless questions about where the money went. Duane allegedly spent years strategically moving assets out of her reach, building a financial fortress she couldn't penetrate, ultimately leaving her with only $7 when she finally walked away.
Because, you know, you went through a divorce, and if I read correctly, they said you had $7 left in your name. Is that true?
That's true. Actually, no. The story was I had $21 in my pocket and a knife cost $7. And I wanted to pay for the knife, but it was Christmas and I had a choice to try to get
When
some
Duane
extra
Martin
toys
got
for my
engaged
kid.
to model Ashley Marie Jones, reports surfaced that Tisha Campbell had issued a warning to his new fiancée. Sources claimed she cautioned Ashley to keep him away from her male friends and explicitly referenced Duane's history. This is significant, for arguably the first time. Tisha spoke outside of legal constraints about what had been a known issue in her marriage. Back when she filed the restraining order, everything she said was under oath, tied to her legal case. But now, there was no pressure. This warning was her way of finally saying what she couldn't for 20 years. I know what you are. I know what you did. Protect yourself. Tisha has also signaled her stance on social media over the years. In 2020, during Jada Pinkett Smith's entanglement scandal with August Alsina, Tisha commented, "The truth always comes out. They will lie till the end." She didn't name anyone, but she wrote "will" in all caps twice. In the context of everything emerging about the Smiths' marriage, it read like a pointed jab at the elite circle she once protected.
Storms come, and people need to understand there are in those low moments. There's always just wait one more second, one more day. I have some amazing other people in my life, like, you know, friends who just
Recently,
are just
former
like,
violinist Brian Scott Joseph filed a lawsuit against Will Smith, and the allegations reveal a pattern consistent with what we've seen before. Joseph claims he was hired to work with Will on a tour project, and at first, everything seemed normal. But he alleges the dynamic began to shift. Will Smith allegedly started grooming him for personal attention, claiming they shared a special connection during private moments. Joseph also described a traumatic series of events, including an alleged intrusion into his Las Vegas hotel room. When he returned, he found a handwritten note reading, "Brian, I'll be back. Just us," with a drawn heart and signed Stone F, one of Will Smith's known nicknames. After reporting the incident to the management team, Joseph alleges he was accused of lying and subsequently fired from his job.
Earlier this year, I was hired to be a performer on a major tour with somebody who is huge in the industry. So I was excited, you know, proud of myself for getting the opportunity. Unfortunately, some things happened, and I can't get into the details of exactly what that was because it's already a legal issue right now. But the reason why I'm speaking out about this is because getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that simply for reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work is not okay. And I know that there's a lot of other people out there who have been afraid to speak up, and I understand. And if that's you, I see you.
Whether these allegations
and
are
that's pretty
ultimately proven in court remains to be seen, but they add to a growing body of evidence, painting a disturbing picture of Will Smith's true character or personality that played a major role in the collapse of Tisha Campbell's marriage. Her relationship was a nightmare of control and financial ruin, all engineered to sustain a lie. Duane Martin's intense connection with Will Smith demanded a cover-up, and Tisha was the person tasked with maintaining it. For 20 years, she made everything appear normal. She deflected rumors about her husband's relationship with Will, defended their friendship when questions arose, and endured physical, emotional, and financial suffering to protect a fabricated image. The $1.4 million loan from Will Smith was a stark symbol of what she was being forced to uphold. Tisha paid for that silence with her body, her mind, her money, and 2 decades of her life. But when the courts demanded the truth and Tisha realized she could face prison for Duane's fraud, she finally chose to stop lying. In that moment, she shattered the protective shield surrounding Duane Martin and Will Smith, exposing the reality behind the decades-long deception.
Even though this is something that happened a long time ago, you could still make it happen in your mind every single day in your walk in life, over and over again, becoming and still maintaining being a victim. That's not what I do.
Right.
And I've never been a victim to it, but there was some remnants up in there.
Absolutely.
And so this is my way of telling him, I forgive you and I forgive myself.
So, I want to hear from you. What do you make of this Will Smith connection? Was that $1.4 million loan really just a friendly gesture? Or was it the price of keeping a secret? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos breaking down these Hollywood scandals.